by bread alone. Yeah, this word got food in it. Stepping on the devil dome. You should see the bruise in it. Backing out the scripts. Told a demon to stand down. Go against the Most High. We gon' see how it pan out. The Father gave me hope. Fill me with the ghosts. Now they hate it when I glow. Joseph with the coat. Looking for their fruit, but they ain't got no cantaloupe. The Messiah or Belial, you can't be a fan of both. Can't serve two masters. Bread of heaven with the living water, yeah, serving up a truth platter. We ain't idolizing no folly, now we setting up a new standard. When Christ touched down, make the whole earth shake like Bruce Banner. Yeah, bringing them troops to ya. End times getting spookier. Warfare getting nuclear. Mankind getting goofier. They intoxicated with a wine, damn, she done roofied them. I'm checking every word. Spirit doctrine like a proofreader. I hate these Nicolatans. Hate these graven idols, man, I hate these flipping pagans. Trying to play my father and I hate these imitations. Screaming out Hosanna, we escape that simulation. Better flee them evil deeds or else that lake is where you layin'. Great is he inside of me, casting out this net like I was by the Sea of Galilee. Harvest gonna be plenty, but the laborers are few. Matthew 17 and 20, there ain't nothing we can't do. I can't be no lukewarm, fringes with the blue on. Devil wanna deal, but I told him this ain't Groupon. Praise to the Almighty, you know we gon' sing a new song. Hail the King of King, the Ultra Low, no Jimmy Neutron. If you keep his laws and his commands, then we can fellowship. I don't get with Pharisees and I don't rock with Hellenists. I ain't praising man, cause only Father get my reverence. I'm swimming in the word, it got me feeling like a yellowfin. Yeah, big stepper, Mr. Demon Chin Checker, trying to hear that well done, cause I feel that displeasure. Father pouring out the wrath, and he got a big measure. If it ain't about the kingdom, then I don't give a six letter. You got faith in the Messiah, you got power. I was clean up in that blood just like a shower. Isaiah 5, you were the vine that came out sour. But now we stand and giving glory in this hour. Yeah, we breaking them curses, fleeing the ways of the serpent. Follow his word and pray for discernment, cause they want us laying in hearses. We gotta rise up, raise and resurface. Choose life and stay in your purpose. The price was paid like a merchant, through Christ who came as a servant. See, the kingdom is really the bag, but yet somehow they chasing a Birkin. After this you ain't getting a chance. While you living you can't better search him. Gotta call on his name like his urchin, never knowing that day is emerging. So repent at the weight of perversions. Judgment coming, that thing is for certain. Let's go.
All right, Shalawam family. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, all glory, and all honor to the Most High God, whose name is Yahawah. Of course, we do so in the name of his only begotten Son, Yahawashi, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. It's your brother, Yasharahla, joined here by the priest.
Shalawam, shalom.
Kind of all praise to the Most High. So yeah, before we get started, family, make sure you guys like and share the video. Make sure you guys like and share the video. Right. If you're new to the channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button, right? And when you hit that subscribe button, hit that little bell icon so that you can get notified when we go live. Right now, we are simulcasting from my main channel, Yasharahla, as well as the House of Bread Camp channel. So if you are not subscribed to House of Bread Camp, make sure you subscribe ASAP. All right. Make sure you subscribe ASAP. I should make the link in the chat. Give me 1 second. Yeah, we got tons of heat, man, on that House of Bread channel. So make sure you guys go ahead and subscribe. The good brother, Hayaman, aka Young Bundles, we just dropped the music video from his most recent project, Pain, on there. So make sure you guys tune in, check that out. Actually, let me go ahead and switch over to this. Boom. Share screen. Like this thing. So yeah, make sure you guys subscribe to the House of Bread Camp channel, right? At House of Bread Camp. Link is in the description as well as in the chat, right? And brothers just dropped this this project, so make sure you guys go over there and subscribe ASAP, right? In addition to that, right, get yourself a copy of the Hebrew Israelite Bible, man, right? Link is in the description of every video. HIBofficialzion.com, right? HIBofficialzion.com, right, is the site. Okay. Link is in the description as well. Appreciate you, brother Oil Can. All praise to the Most High. Shalawam to the family out there. All right. I did see a couple of super chats. Sister Shelly Burke, the YAHAWAH, Barakath, Yahawashi, Yasharahla for your continued support, sis. We got 2nd Ezra 6 and 9. The YAHAWAH, Barakath, Yahawashi, Yasharahla for your super chat. I'm not sure. I'm assuming that's a brother. But appreciate you, King. Right. So, yeah, in addition to that, right, you got the Hebrew Israelite Bible at HIBofficialzion.com. We also got perpetualwar.shop, right? Go to perpetualwar.shop. Link is in the description as well. Right, go get you some Hebrew fashion, all right? In addition, right, if you guys haven't watched, right, there's a video, there's a live that we did about a month ago now, a little over a month ago, of the truth and power of fringes, right? You've been lied to. So we have been taught of old, and that's going to be a thing, right? Even for this this lesson, right? We were taught that you can only wear either or, right? You can wear the fringes with the ribbon of blue, or you can wear the tassels, right? I got a pair of tassels right here. You could wear just these, right? We were taught that you can wear just these. No, the Bible doesn't teach that, right? The King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, our Savior, the man that died on the cross for our sin and our iniquity. He said, when he was tempted of the devil, as it is written, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeded out of the mouth of God. In this video, we go in depth and great detail, demonstrating that there are 2 types of fringes. These fringes right here are called gedalim, right? These type of fringes, right, with the ribbon of blue, these wing-like projections, these are called Z or Taziyat, right? So these are 2 different words, 2 different commandments, right? If you're just walking around with one set and one pair and not the other, you are actually in sin, right? Sin is the transgression of the law. The law is the line. The word transgress means to cross the line. So when you don't do what God says do, right? If he says do A, B, C, and you just do A, B, you are in transgression. You are in sin. So every brother and sister in the Hebrew Israelite community that just wears either or, you are in sin. Point blank, period. Right? And here at the House of Bread, right, we come, right, to teach the word of the Most High God, right? To fashion our lives and to walk after the footsteps of our King Hamashiach Yahawashi, who did no sin, neither was God found in his mouth, right? So we are going to uphold living by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of God and feeding our people, feeding the lost sheep of the house of Israel with the bread of life, which is the word of God, right? So, I did a video, right, here in this video, right? There was a separate video that I recorded towards the end of the video where I show you how it's so easy, how it's simple to put fringes on all your clothing, right? Very, very simple, right? When it comes to Gedalion, you can check us out here at YAHAWAH, right? YAHAWAH, we got the flyest bust down tassels here in the nation, right? Tap in with us here on Instagram at YAHAWAH. You can also tap in, message me on my regular profile online, LionOfYahawah. All right. So, in addition, you can also tap in with the brother Prestigious Way Designs, the brother Yasharahla, who's typically on the live streams as well. This brother makes, listen, some of the best tassels in the nation. He even got the bust down jewels on them joints. Look at the yo, Issachar, Tribe of Issachar, where you at? Tap in with bro, right? So tap in with us here at the House of Bread. Right, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you guys hit this bell icon so you get notified when we go live and do these edifying videos. All right. So I actually did a poll. Actually, I want to take a look at the poll really quickly. I did one a few weeks ago, probably about, I would say, probably about a month ago, actually, now I think about it, right? Well, I did a poll and I asked brothers and sisters, is Leviticus 19 verses 27, is that talking about shape-ups, right? Or lineups or edge-ups? And I'm just going to take a look at the poll and see where we are. Give me a second. Let's see where we are. So, all right. So, it looks like we got, let me do a quick little math. Looks like we had about, give me a second, I'll tell you in a second, how many people voted in the poll. All right. So we had over 80 people vote in the poll, right? And I just posted it not too long ago, like just a few hours ago, right? Probably around like 3 o'clock. And so the question was, and let me pull up the banner, right? Today's thumbnail. Right. I want to see what the chat says, right? Here we go, right? I asked, is this unlawful? Right. So in the picture, I only use the brother right here to the left, the brother 360 Jeezy. You know what I mean? Some of y'all may know I'm a former waiver, right? The brother, the priest over here, he was a former waiver as well. And I killed that nigga, man. Listen.
Don't let him lie to y'all like that, man.
Listen. Niggas already know how I was coming. Listen, I had the 540s, right?
Nah, they were crazy though.
And I had the 720s, right? So listen, trust me, waving, that was my thing, right? So I've been growing my hair for about 3 years now. But so the brother 360 G's, you know what I mean? Like, you know, prominent waiver in the wavering community, right? He's a barber himself. And right now, believe it or not, he's actually growing his hair out, right? He doesn't have waves right now. He did a big chop, probably like what they call it, not a big chop. Sisters call it a big chop when they cut all the hair off and they go natural after they've been permanent hair and whatnot. He did what do they call it? Dang, it's been a minute. It's not a big chop. He just balded out, not completely bald. He cut all his waves off, right? I've done it a couple times. I done switched, you know, styles a few times, right? But the brother 360 Jeezy, right? Fire barber, right? And I said, is this unlawful? Right? That was the question. I said, is this unlawful? Right? So the options were kanat, which means yes, brother, right? The other option was laYAHAWAH, which means no, brother. And the next one, the other option was I don't know, right? So 30% of you said yes, this is unlawful, right? Having the shape up, right? The line up, the edge up, right? Some niggas call it the yape up, right? Listen, y'all, 25 of y'all, 30% of y'all said yes, that this is indeed unlawful, right? 28 of you guys, which is 34% of the votes, said that no, it's not unlawful. And then 30, which is 36, the vast majority of y'all said, I don't know, right? So we're here today, right, to dive into the context of Leviticus 19, right, and 27, right, where it falls in line, right, in a list of different commandments. And we're going to demonstrate whether or not a shape up, a lineup, an edge up is unlawful or not. Okay. So this should be quite interesting. I want to see what the chat has to say, right? The brother Raquam, shout out to the elder Raquam, son of Manessa, the thawadath, Barakath, shanyam-ishar for your super chat. King, appreciate you, brother. Right. So the poll was on my Instagram, brother Dawad. I don't even know how to do polls through StreamYard. Nor do I know how to do it just regularly through the live. But let's dive into it in just a bit, right? So priest, if you can, let's go to the Torah, right? Let's go to the book of Leviticus, chapter 19, right? And I made a little presentation that we're going to go over in right now. We're just going to dive into the scripts. And let's start at verse 26, right? Let me share my screen. Give me 1 second. Leviticus chapter 19 and verse 26, right? We're going to read from 26 and 26 to 29.
God. So it's the book of Leviticus, chapter 26.
Oh, Salaki, before we move forward, right? Let me get a 1 in the chat. A 1 in the chat if you believe getting a lineup, getting a shape up, getting an edge up is unlawful, right? A 2 in the chat if you believe it's not unlawful to get a shape up or a lineup. 1 for unlawful, 2 for lawful. 1 for unlawful, 2 for lawful. Unlawful 1, 2 lawful. Let's see what the chat says. All right, we got Father Pat says that it is indeed lawful. Right, we got walls. I don't know what that means. Must be on your phone. Dawad says it's lawful, right? The elder Raquam says it's unlawful, right? Tribe of Issachar believes it's unlawful, right? My brother Quadazop, he says it is lawful. Right. So we got a mixed bag, right? A mixed bag, right, of people who believe it's either lawful or non-lawful, right? We're going to demonstrate. Actually, before we dive into this script, right, let's go to the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 4 and verse. Actually, it started Isaiah chapter 8 and verse 20, right? Isaiah chapter 8 and verse 20.
It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 8 and verse 20. To the law and to the testimony, if they speak not according to this word, it is because there is no light in them.
So to the law, which is the Torah, and the testimony, which would be the prophets, if they speak not according to this word, it's because there's no light in them, right? The law is our light, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to dive into the law, and we're going to dive into the prophets and determine whether or not this is having a shape up is lawful or not, right? Now, with that said, let's go to the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 4 and verse 2, right? This is something that, we, actually, before we go there, go to the book of Daniel. The book of Daniel, chapter, what is it, where it says that knowledge shall increase in the last?
Verse 12, chapter 12.
Is it 12 and 12?
I think so. Seal up the book.
Then you shall roll to and fro.
Yeah, verse 4.
Come on, bring it out.
The book of Daniel, chapter 12, verse 4. But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book.
Seal the book, right? Shut up the words and seal the book, meaning that the understanding of the Torah and the prophets, right, would be sealed up until a specific time, right? So time of the end. Read on.
Even to the time of the end, many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased.
And knowledge shall be increased, right? The law, statutes, and commandments is our wisdom, our knowledge, and our understanding in the sight of the nations, right? So as we get closer and closer to the end, right, knowledge shall increase, right? So I'll give you an example. The brother, shout out to the brothers of Genesis, right? They did a video, right? And they dove into the Hebrew, right? They also dived into primary sources from the 1st century AD, right? They showed archaeological evidence of what the law on mixed fabric is talking about, right? The law on mixed fabric is specifically, literally just speaking about wool and linen, right? The average regular lay person, right? The average regular Israelite citizen is prohibited from wearing a garment of wool and linen, specifically those two fabrics, because it's reserved for the priests. The priests are, their garments are literally interwoven, wool and linen. Right? There's archaeological evidence of priestly garments where you can literally see wool and linen intertwined. Right? So that's something that they were able to come across through the spirit and power of the Most High God, Yahawah, right? Of course, in the name of His only begotten Son, and be able to present that to the nation, right? Why? Because knowledge shall increase in the last, right? And when I first watched, I was like, At first, I wasn't sold, right? I wasn't sold, right?
Yeah.
I wasn't sold at first, right? And I'll tell you why I wasn't sold, because where is it? Right. So when you go to the one in Deuteronomy, right? Chapter 22, and I want to show y'all something real quick, right? So it says, thou shalt not wear a garment of diverse sorts, as of woolen and linen together. So I was looking at this word as, right? Which is just like, okay, this is giving an example, right? And I remember I had looked at this particular passage, and the word for garment wasn't in the text, right? If I'm not mistaken, I believe the word for garment in Hebrew is bagad, right? Let me just double check, right? I want to just make sure that I'm being correct, right? Garment. Let's look at the word garment real quick. I believe it's the Hebrew word bagad. Yep, bagad, right? Garment. Strong's 899. Okay, bagad. And when I was looking at Deuteronomy 22 and what's it, verse 12? Deuteronomy chapter 22 and verse 11, right? It says, let's take a look. The word bagad is not here, right? Bagad is not in the text, right? It's not. So when I was looking at the word sha'itanaz, right? It's of Egyptian origin, if I'm not mistaken. Right, let's take a look at that word sha'itanaz. Right, let's take a look. Probably a foreign derivation, right? I remember doing some research. It was believed to be of Egyptian origin, right? Because it says perhaps of Egyptian origin, right? So the Egyptians apparently, right? They were making garments of different fabrics and whatnot, right? So, we see all throughout the scripture, we're told not to do what the Egyptians do, right? So when I was looking at them bringing this out, and I was like, I hear what they're saying, like they're making really great points, but I have an issue because in Deuteronomy chapter 22 and 11, it says as of woolen and linen. But when you look at the Hebrew, notice how there's no entry right here. There's no Hebrew word for as, right? Now, the reason why this is important, because there's no separate word for the word as in Hebrew, right? What you would see is the Hebrew character ka, right? The ka, which is the K character in the Hebrew language. You would see that, right? So here's the word for woolen, tazamar, right? So if it was saying in the Hebrew as of woolen and as of linen, right? You would see ka tazamar, wa ka pashathyum, right? Guess what? The word as or the prefix ka is not there. When I saw that, I was like, yeah, them brothers cooking. Them brothers, they discovered something through the spirit, right? That we were taught for quite some time, right? That was incorrect, right? Listen, you know how many outfits I don't passed on, how many clothes I don't thrown away, right? Looking for 100% cotton, no polyester mixed in there, right? 100%, you know, XYZ, right? No type of mixture, right? You get a pair of jeans. The average jean is cotton with a little bit of elastin in it. Listen, it was one of the hardest commandments to keep, right? And again, they made a great point that the scriptures say that the laws of God are not grievous, right? How is putting on clothes something that's a basic necessity for life? How is keeping that law so difficult, so hard in this modern world? And in all actuality, our understanding of that particular law was flawed, right? And here's the thing: better safe than sorry, right? I'd rather be quote unquote over righteous, right? Or going the extra mile than to be half-assing the word of God, right? The commandments of God. And that's what we have to understand. So all praise to the Most High, right? Through the Spirit of the Most High God, right? We see in Daniel chapter 12 and verse 4 that knowledge shall increase in the last, and the laws, statutes, commandments, that's our knowledge. To know God is to keep his commandments. You can't keep, if you don't know his commandments, you don't know him, right? You can't properly keep them. So as we're diving into the law more and more, right? Because again, this prophecy says that we would return to the Most High God. We would remember ourselves in the land of our captivity, right? And that we would keep the commandments, us and our children. So again, knowledge is increasing in these last days, and we're diving into the Torah, diving into the Hebrew, diving into archaeology, a bunch of different things to, of course, get better understanding. Now, even with the archaeology portion of it, right? The book of Revelation, what's that? Revelation chapter 12. It says that the earth helped the woman. Now, it's talking about that specific woman, right? Which is Israel. And those stars, those third part of the stars, which represents a third of the 12 tribes, right, making their way into West Africa, and from there, of course, coming to Babylon and pursuant to Micah 4 and 8 as well, right? But we know that the Most High God, he's the master author, right? Listen, he created every rapper, right? Listen, Kendrick Lamar may have all these double entendres, right? Rappers like, Daylight and Absol and, all these great lyricists, right? Who are known for the double and triple entendres. The Most High God created them that way, right? He is the master of doubles and triple entendres, right? So, yes, in its primary application, right? That's speaking of us making our way to West Africa, but the earth, right, has helped the woman. Now, when we look at the scriptures, the prophecy says that, right, the Most High God will create new heavens and new earths, right? The new heavens will be the children of Israel ruling over all nations, and the new earths will be new people in subjugation. And right now, right, in the last days, right, we have, we got the brother, 2nd Ezra 6 and 9, right? Right, he said, have brothers super stressed about wearing polyester, right? Even that, right? So 2nd Ezra 6 and 9 says that Esau is the end of the world and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. So Esau is going to be the earth, right? And Jacob is going to be the heavens, right? When this new kingdom is established, right? And when we look at how the earth, the literal earth, has helped Israel, helped the woman, right? Archaeology has helped substantiate the Bible, in a plethora of ways. I mean, I have been working on an archaeology book, right, for the nation of Israel. I gotta hop back into that project and get that out to the nation ASAP. But listen, the earth is helping a woman, right? The brothers went to archaeology, right? We're gonna go into some archaeology today, right? To help demonstrate what Leviticus chapter 19 and verse 27 is actually about, right? And when we look at who has been the pioneers in archaeology, it's been Esau, the earth, right? The basis of human beings, right? They have forwarded biblical archaeology and archaeology in totality, right? And it benefits us, the woman, the children of Israel, right? So, oh, how apropos, right? That's a triple entendre right there. You see that? See, Brother Khan, he said, I approach clothing like clothing with the better safe than sorry mentality. Listen, when you're dealing with the king of terrors, right? When you're dealing with the Most High God, Allah Shaja, listen, you better be safe than sorry. Shout out to my brothers of the refinement. Shout out to them good brothers over there in the Bay Area. Salute to you, kings. But let's dive into Deuteronomy chapter 4 and verse 2, right? So we went on a little bit of a little tangent, but we back on track, right? So today we're asking the question, right? Is getting shape-ups, is this unlawful? Pursuant to Leviticus 19 and 27. Right. The title of the lesson is Hebrew Israelites wrong again, question mark, or lineup/shape-ups unlawful. So let's get back on track. Let's get into the scriptures. Bring it out.
Yeah, and that's the book of Deuteronomy chapter 4 and verse 2. You shall not add unto the word which I command you, neither shall ye diminish aught from it, that ye may keep the commandments of the Lord your God, which I command you.
So there's a law, right? In a lot of, let me tell you something. The Hebrew Israelite community, this might be one of the number one laws that you niggas break. I know you. A lot of you niggas are adulterers. Some of your favorite teachers are adulterers, right? Some of your favorite teachers and leaders, right, are deadbeat fathers and deadbeat husbands, right? Some are Batiman, right? You got all types of evil and iniquity going on in the Hebrew Israelite community, right? You got a ton of fornicators, right, in the Hebrew Israelite community, and to do outside of the Hebrew Israelite community, just amongst the Israelites, which are so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, right? But Israelites who are so-called in the truth, right, who claim to love the Most High God Yahawaah, right, who claim to be followers of His Son Hamashiach Yahawashi, right? This might be one of the commandments that you niggas break the most, right? Listen, niggas will tell you that wearing pants is a sin. Now, sin is the transgression of the law. The law does not say that a woman wearing pants is a sin. I'm sorry, it just does not. All you niggas that say that, you're just stupid and you don't study and you don't understand Hebrew. How are you a Hebrew Israelite and you don't study Hebrew? Imagine that. Imagine being a self-professing Hebrew Israelite and you don't even dive into the Hebrew language to get any type of understanding. Like, what are we talking about, right? So adding to the law or subtracting or diminishing aught from the law is a sin. So let's say, for instance, shape-ups. Let's say shape-ups are lawful, right? But we've been going around saying that they're unlawful. Guess what? We're in sin for doing that.
Yeah.
Right? And as we get closer to the end, again, knowledge is going to continue to increase, right? So with that premise laid out, right, let's go to Leviticus chapter 19, right, and verse 26, right? Another thing that Hebrew Israelites are notorious for is taking things out of context, right? We get on Christians for taking things out of context. Since the dark child world, if your husband tells you to wear dresses or skirts, right, do what your husband tells you to do. But it is not a sin for a woman to wear pants.
Right.
It's just not, right? But if your husband tells you to wear skirts or dresses, you do what your husband says, sister. All right. So let's take a look right now, guys. You see these little things right here? These little things right here, I wonder what they're called, right? But they let you know when context is starting or changing, right? I want to see, what is this, right? It's called a pilcrow. Right? It's called a pilcrow, right? So look for the pilcrows, right? When you're reading the Bible, right? A lot of times, brothers and sisters will ask me questions, right, about a scripture, and I'd be like, in my mind, I'm like, sis, did you even read that? Right? And really, if you just read up a little bit and read a little further past whatever scripture you're stumped on, right? You'll be able to kind of put it together and see what's going on, right? So context is essential, right? When studying, teaching, and reading the Bible, right? So let's start from verse 26 and we're going to read down to verse 29.
That's Leviticus chapter 19, verse 26. Ye shall not eat anything with blood, neither shall ye use enchantments, nor observe times.
So we are told not to eat anything with blood. We're not allowed to use any type of enchantment or be observers of times, right? This Hebrew word for observers of time is the word ainan, ainanium, right? Which means, right, clouds, right? In this video right here from about a month ago, we dive into this word and how smoking weed is a sin, right? Not only that, even smoking tobacco, smoking anything is a sin, right? Just burning plants and inhaling it. Like me and a priest, right? There's a herb that we use called damiana, right? Damiana has many different uses, right? Damiana is an aphrodisiac, right? Or I was down in Mexico, right? And me and my wife went to tequila tasting, and the guy there called the uchicuchi juice, right? Because the juice is flowing, right? But it's also a really good just antidepressant and just like real anti-anxiety type of herb, right? And that's what I use it for, right? But as I was looking at other herbs to mix with the damiana, just to increase the, just to cool, mellow, just anti-anxiety, type of benefits, right? I saw videos and you got she saw over here smoking it, right? Then I'm doing more research. The Egyptians, right? They used to take this flower called the blue lotus flower, and they would smoke that and get high as a kite, right? So smoking anything, right, is any plant is a sin, right? Even tobacco. Like when you look at the origins of tobacco smoke, it goes back to Gad and Reuben, right? Primarily. And what would they use it for? For rituals, for pagan rituals. So smoking, right, being an observer of time, right, being an anan, right, an ananium, a soothsayer. This word is also translated as soothsayer, right? That's something that you're not allowed to do. And what we notice about these things is that these are the practices of the Canaanites, right? Hold on deck, right? We're going to go back and forth between Leviticus 19 and Wisdom of Solomon chapter 12.
I got that on deck. I got a precept too before we go back to that. So this is Leviticus 18:3, right? And it says that the previous chapter to like let you know what's going on, right? So this is Leviticus 18 and verse 3. After the doings of the land of Egypt wherein ye dwelt shall ye not do, and after the doings of the land of Canaan, whither I bring you, shall ye not do, neither shall ye walk in their ordinances, letting you know, already established in the premise of what ordinances not to do and what ordinances to do. So we already have this mindset already established already.
Let me say something. Let me say something about the priest right here, man. When me and this brother are together, right? Listen,
it gets going, man.
Listen, we just be flowing because, like, guess what? That scripture, he jumped the gun a little bit, right? But all praise to the Most High, right? That was we already had that lined up to the Spirit, right? Sir. So again, that was one chapter prior, right? We're told, don't do what the Egyptians do, don't do what the Canaanites do. Now, family, what do the Egyptians and the Canaanites have in common? What do they have in common? Gad used a lot of stuff. Gad be doing a lot, bro. Let me tell you something. When we dive into what Leviticus 19:27 really means, Gad was engaging in this.
Yep.
Right? Zebulon was engaging in this.
Issachar.
They're both Hamites.
There we go.
They're both Hamites, right? So actually, when you dive in, so just so you know, right, Lord willing, I'll be doing a lesson soon on who we believe the Pharaoh of the Exodus to be, right?
Yeah.
And in that breakdown, right, and that understanding, right, through my research, there is the 18th dynasty of the Egyptians, right? They received a bunch of correspondence from the land of Canaan, right, about a bunch of invaders who were coming in and tearing shit up, right? That was us, right?
No.
The Armana letters, right? They're from the 18th dynasty, right? And when you dive into the geopolitical landscape at that time, the 18th dynasty was one of the most powerful, probably the most powerful dynasty, right, in Egyptian history, right? And they had the largest empire of all the Egyptian dynasties, right? And their dynasty, their land, of course, came from from Cush, right, which is Lower Egypt, right below Lower Egypt, right, up to Carchemish, which is in modern day Syria, Lebanon, if I'm not mistaken, right? So the Canaanites were their vassals. And one thing that you have to understand about the Hamites and about the heathen in general is that they worship the same gods. They just have different names for them.
Yep.
They're all the same gods, right? So what we're looking at right here in Leviticus chapter 19 in verse 26 to 29, these are the practices of the Canaanites who God just told us not to follow their ways. Listen, we're coming out of the land of Egypt. Don't do what you saw them doing in Egypt, right? And when you're going to the land of Canaan, these other Hamites, don't do what you see them doing, right? So when it says, you should not eat anything with the blood, neither shall you use enchantment nor observe times. These are all things that all the heathen, and especially the Canaanites, did, right? So let's get Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 12, and let's go to verse 5.
Come on.
Actually, let me pull it up real quick.
Let me start at verse 3.
Yeah, come on, that's cool.
Come on, it's the book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 12, verse 3. For it was thy will to destroy by the hands of our fathers both those old inhabitants of thy holy land.
The old inhabitants of God's holy land are the Canaanites. We entered into the land of Canaan, right? We were told to conquer it. We were told to eliminate them all, right? And have no mercy on them. Don't spare them, right? Don't take their daughters unto you, right? Don't give your daughters unto them, right? Destroy them all, right? And what did we do? We didn't listen. We did not listen. And that's been our problem. Yeah. The Israelites' problem is that we don't listen to God. Imagine if now the reason why God told us to do away with them, right, is the same reason why he told us to do away with the Amalekites. Now look where we at, right? And he also, well, not the same exact reason, right? But these are two people that God said, hey, do away with, right? Just get rid of them. And our ancestors didn't listen. And look where we are. Now, the Lord told us not to make marriages with them because their daughters will turn our hearts from following him, right? And if their daughters are going to turn our hearts from following our God, where will our hearts being turned to? To follow their gods, right? And that's going to be something that's very important that we want to look at as we dive into this particular topic, right? So it says again, you're going to go into this land that you're going to possess it. You're going to cast out many nations, the Hittites, the Girgashites, the Amorites, the Canaanites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, the Jebusites. 7 nations. Right? The Jebusites were dwelling in Jerusalem specifically. Right? Jerusalem was called Jebus. Right? It says, when you come into the land, you're going to utterly smite them, destroy them. Right? It says, don't make marriages with them. So when brothers say, oh, don't make marriages with them, when they just go to Deuteronomy 7:3 and just use that as a blanket statement for all nationalities, what you're doing is you're diminishing off from the law.
Yep, that's a sin.
And you're a sinner. Like, Israelites have to stop taking things out of context. We get on Christians for taking things out of context all the time.
And so, like, just to add on to that, right? That's why Christ, in his teachings, he says not to speak idle words, because all the stuff we're saying, this is like Ariella likes to say, is like barbershop talk. We hear these things that we don't know the source of them. So you're saying, oh, you can't sleep, you can't marry any other nations, but this barbershop, you don't know where that comes from. But not you saying that, not knowing you're diminishing from the word, you're actually in sin. That's why you have to be careful what you're saying.
Absolutely. So the Hittites, who are they today? I don't know exactly which group of Africans are the Hittites, right? But by and large, the Canaanites, they are wherever we've been scattered.
Yeah.
Especially in Africa, right? When we got kicked out of the land of Israel, right? They were dwelling amongst us, number one. Number two, right? Like, for instance, when Yahawashi was walking amongst the coast of Tyre and Zidon, right? A woman of Canaan, right? Came to him, right? Besought him, asking for mercy and whatnot. Like, when the Romans came in and ran down on us, he did the same thing to them.
Yeah.
Right? They were always throwing our side. We were always mixing and mingling with them, which is a problem, right? So I would say the various peoples of West and Central Africa, all right, is even as far down as South Africa, right? And we're going to dive into a group of people today, right, who, if they're not Canaanites, they're Israelites following the ways of Canaanites. It's that at best, right? But these are Hamites. These are ham sandwiches, right? That we're gonna look at, right? So these are the practices of the Canaanites, right? Let's go back to Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 12.
Verse 4: whom thou hatest for doing most odious works of witchcrafts and wicked sacrifices.
Odious works of witchcrafts, right? Leviticus chapter 19, verse 26, right? Being an enchanter or an observer of time is witchcraft, right? So this is a Canaanite practice, right? Read on.
Verse 5: and also those merciless murderers of children and devourers of men's flesh and the feasts of blood.
All right, so let's stop right there, right? So not only were the Canaanites witches and warlocks, right, did all types of wicked sacrifices, right? They were murderers of children, right? They would sacrifice their children unto Molech, unto Baal, and guess what? We followed after them and did the same things. We read that all throughout the books of, Kings and the Chronicles, right? Of various different Israelite kings, right, who are just dead set on worshiping, right, the gods of the Canaanites and gods of the other nations, right? So they were merciless murderers of children, right? There's a archaeologist by the name of, I believe his name is Bill Kramer. Actually, let me see if I can show Expedition Bible. Joe Kramer, right? Shout out to Esau, right? Shout out to the earth helping a woman, right? So I tap in with this guy all the time, right? And I'm gonna see if I can find it. Let's see if I can find it. Sacrifice. So he did an expedition, right? Boom. Excavated Canaanite high place, the sin of the Amorites, right? Child sacrifice. They listen in this video right here from 2 years ago. He dives into, right, the archaeology of Canaanite high places where they would literally burn children, right? They found the remains of a 9-year-old girl who was sawed in half. You can see the signs of the saws, right, going against her bones. Like, this is what they were doing. They were merciless murderers of children, right? We were told not to do that, right? So now let's go back to Leviticus chapter 19 and verse 27.
Now Leviticus chapter 19, verse 27. Ye shall not round the corners of your heads, neither shalt thou mar the corners of thy beard.
Read on.
Verse 28. Ye shall not make any cuttings in your flesh for the dead, nor print any marks upon you. I am the Lord.
So
Verse 20.
again, everything that we just read so far is a Canaanite practice, right? We're going to dive into this a little bit more, right? Read on.
Verse 29. Do not prostitute thy daughter to cause her to be a whore, lest the land fall to whoredom and the land become full of wickedness.
So let's stop right there, right? So these from verse 26 to 29 specifically, right? Canaanite practices. Then verse 30 says, "You shall keep my Sabbaths and reverence my sanctuary. I'm the Lord." Right? So we're being taught how to be separate, wholly separate and set apart. Right? We're going to keep Sabbaths. We're going to reverence the Most High God's sanctuary, right? Because He's our God, Yahweh. Then you read on, right? It says, "Regard not them that have familiar spirits, neither seek after wizards to be defiled by them. I am the Lord your God." Again, this is another thing that the Canaanites did, right? They were wizards, right? They were warlocks, right? This word right here for wizards is Strong's H3049. Let's take a look at it. What's this word? Yadinya, right? Yadinya, right? So it goes back to the word yadai, which means to know, right? What do all the wizards act like they know because they're like psychic and all that stuff, right? This is what the heathen were doing, right? These were their practices, right? So let's go to back to 28, and then we're going to go to 1 Kings chapter 18, verses 27 through 29, right? So I'll read Leviticus. You get 1 Kings. I'll read Leviticus chapter 19, verse 28, right? So it says, "Ye shall not make any cuttings in your flesh for the dead, nor print any marks upon you. I am the Lord," right? So these are things that the Canaanites would do, right? They would make cuttings in their flesh for the dead, right? There's an African tribe. Let's see if I can find it. African tribe scarification. Right? This is what these people be doing. Some of them, they say they do it for beauty, right? But there's a lot of practices, right, that go back to, right, them doing this for the dead, right? Don't do this, right? Niggas doing all types of weird stuff, right? These are dirty Hamite. Look at them. Look what these people do, right? The Lord said, "Don't do this," right? Bring out 1 Kings chapter 18, right? So this is the context of 1 Kings 18, right? This is what? Elijah, right? And the prophets of Baal, right? Right. So Leviticus 1 Kings chapter 18, verse 27. I can start at verse 25.
God, that's the book of 1 Kings chapter 18 and verse 25. And Elijah said unto the prophets of Baal, "Choose you one bullock for yourselves and dress it first, for you are many, and call on the name of your gods, but put no fire under."
Call on the name of your gods, plural. Read on.
Verse 26. And they put the bullock which was given them and dressed it, and called on the name of Baal from morning even until noon, saying, "O Baal, hear us." But there was no voice, nor any that answered, and they leapt upon the altar which was made. Verse 27. And it came to pass at noon that Elijah mocked them and said, "Cry aloud, for he is a god. Either he is talking, or he is pursuing, or he is in a journey, or peradventure he sleepeth and must be awaked."
Now let me tell you something. This right here in Bell and Dragon are some of the funniest stories in the Bible. Elijah's like, "Oh, your God's not answering you. Oh, okay. Yeah, maybe he's on a journey somewhere. Oh, maybe peradventure he's sleeping. You gotta wake him up. Just cry a little louder," right? Read on.
Verse 28. And they cried aloud and cut themselves after their manner with
After
knives,
their what?
after their manner with knives and lancet, till the blood gushed out upon them.
So they were cutting themselves, right? These gods are not alive, number one. Don't make cuttings in your flesh for the dead. Let's look at this word right here for manner, right? Oh, man. This is amazing. Mashapat, right? Mashapat, manner, right? Let's look at where this word is used. I'm pretty sure it might be the word that's used in Leviticus 18. You shall do my judgments, right?
Mm-hmm.
My judgments.
Leviticus 18.
Yeah, so this is what their manners, right? This is what they used to do, right? This is what their customs, their judgments. Actually, let me take a look at it again. Their manner, right? So they cut themselves with knives. Let's look at how else is translated, right? Ordinances, order, right? Fashion. That's what they did. Don't do after their doings, right? Read on.
One second. Verse 29. And it came to pass when midday was past, and they prophesied until the time of the offering of the evening sacrifice, that there was neither voice nor any answer, nor any that regarded.
And no one regarded it, right? Because again, their God is not a real God, right? So this lines up perfectly with what the Most High God told us not to do. Don't make cuttings in your flesh for the dead. Don't print any marks on you, right? Because what? These were the practices of the Canaanites in their worship and their service to their gods.
Mm-hmm.
This is the context of Leviticus chapter 19, 26, 29, right? And even until 31, really, right? Obviously, 30 is our practice, right? We're being shown, all right, this is what they do. This is what you're going to do, right? Don't do this either, right? So let's read verse 29, right? We're going to dive into what the Canaanites would do, how they worship their gods and things of that nature. Bring that out.
Leviticus 19 and 29 or Kings?
Actually, no, get Genesis 38 and verse 13. I'll read Leviticus 19, 29. It says, do not prostitute thy daughter to cause her to be a whore, lest the land fall to whoredom and the land become full of wickedness, right? So we're going to look at some context of, again, these are Canaanite practices of making their daughters whores, right? So let's go to Genesis chapter 38 and verse 13.
God. It's the book of Genesis, chapter 38 and verse 13. And it was told Tamar, saying, behold, thy father-in-law goeth up to Timnath to shear his sheep.
So we when we look at the story, right, of Judah, right? Judah had he had Onan, right? And then he had what was it? Shalawam. What was his name? What was the third kid's name? Shua, right? So died because he was wicked, right? And then the other one was supposed to go in unto Tamar, right? Because didn't have any children by Tamar, right? That's our practice, right? It's called a levirate marriage, right? So I remember I was telling my wife, I said, hey, if I ever died, right? We don't have any children. You got to marry my little brother. She hated that idea, but it's the law, right? So that's our practices. That's our customs. Now, Onan, one of the niggas pulled out, and the Lord killed that nigga, right? And Judah was scared, like, damn, man. Like, I gotta give her to my youngest son, but he was afraid, right? Now, here's the problem. Judah should not have even gotten Tamar for his son in the first place, because guess what? Abraham told Isaac and told Eliezer, don't get no Canaanite for my wife, I mean for my son, right? Isaac and Rebekah told Esau and Jacob, don't deal with the Canaanites whatsoever. So that means Jacob would have told his children that these niggas weren't listening, right? See, our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, they were righteous, right? After that generation, that fourth generation, them niggas was wicked. Reuben, wicked. Simeon wicked, Levi wicked, Judah wicked. All them niggas were wicked.
Yep.
Really, except for Joseph, for real.
Yeah.
Pretty much all of our patriarchs, all the sons of Jacob were wicked. And then their children committed wickedness, right? So Judah shouldn't even gotten Tamar for any of his sons, right? But now, right, when we're in the situation, right, Tamar's like, oh, this nigga, you know what I mean? Actually, read verse 12.
Verse 12. And in the process of time, the daughter of Shua, Judah's wife, died.
So
Judah,
pause. No, that's law is not null and void.
The law
no law is null and void. There's not a single law that's null and void. Read on.
And in the process of time, the daughter of Shua, Judah's wife, died, and Judah was comforted and went up to his sheep shearers to Timnah, he and his friend Harah, the Adullamite. Verse 13, and it was told Tamar, saying, behold, thy father-in-law goeth up to Timnath to shear his sheep. And she put her widow's garment off from her and covered her with a veil, and wrapped herself and sat in an open place, which is by the way to Timnath, for she saw that Shalawam was grown, and she was not given unto him to wife.
So Shalawam was young, right? So when Muslims try to play games and try to say, oh, it was like that back then. Listen, we weren't even going to give our sons to women, our young boys to grown women. No, we weren't doing that. Right? This is why when niggas talk to me about the goddamn book of Jasher, which said that Rebecca was 9 or 10 when Isaac got with her, mix me with that BS. Jasher is nonsense, right? Jasher also says that Simeon married Dinah. So the whole tribe of Simeon are mamzers.
It's such, What?
Stupid, right? Because niggas be trying to be too deep when they need to be one deep, right? So she's like, oh, Salak is grown, right? And he hasn't been given. I haven't been given unto him. Listen, like, I'm a widow, like, and just so you understand, right? A woman at that time, right? You were either in your father's house or you was in your husband's house, and that was your means of survival. So she's like, yo, like what's going on, right? Let's keep reading.
Verse 15. When Judah saw her, he thought her to be an harlot.
He thought she was a harlot. She dressed a certain way deliberately. Back in the day, harlots used to cover themselves. Right? Nowadays, it's upside down. The harlots ain't got no clothes on. Right? Read on.
Because she had covered her face. Verse 16. He turned unto her by the way and said, go to, I pray thee.
One more point on these Muslims. Right? Let me tell you something. All these chicks in these hijabs and these burqas and whatnot, they be top schmutz.
That's a fact.
Right? The Ishmaelite ones, and especially Eve. We live in Philly. Philly is like 50% Muslims, right? Yep. And during Ramadan, right? They be on their deen, right? They got their hijabs on, but as soon as Eid is over, right? Hijabs off, they back in the backstage case, give them that guck, right? Give them that hot tour. That's what they're doing, right? So guess what? Harlots wear veils and stuff like that, even today too. Just for the record.
Yeah.
Right. Read on.
Verse 16. And he said unto her by the way, go to, I pray thee, let me come in unto thee. Mm-hmm. For he knew not that she was his daughter-in-law. Mm-hmm. And she said, what wilt thou give me that thou mayest come in unto me? And this is top wicked, bro. So he doesn't know that this is a daughter, but she knows. Yeah. And she's perpetuating this shit. Yeah, that's top.
She's a Canaanite.
And this is exactly why we don't make covenants with them. Verse 17. And he said, I will send thee a kid from the flock. And she said, wilt thou give me a pledge till thou send it? Verse 18. And he said, what pledge shall I give thee? And she said, thy signet and thy bracelet and thy staff that is in thine hand. And he gave it to her and came in unto her, and she conceived by him.
Now let's jump down to verse 21 and we'll read through 22.
Verse 21. Then he asked the man of the place, saying, Where is the harlot that was openly by the wayside? And they said, There was no harlot in this place. Verse 22. And he returned to Judah and said, I cannot find her. And also the men of the place said that there was no harlot in this place.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 23. And Judah said, Let her take it.
That's it on that, right? That's it on that, right? So he thought she was a harlot, right? Now let's look at this word for harlot, right? It's the Hebrew word quadashah, right? Quadashah, right? Which goes back to the word quadash, which means holy. So the Canaanites would prostitute their daughters, and their daughters would be quadashah, quadashath, right? They would be temple prostitutes, set apart, holy prostitutes, right? That's how they worship their gods. Their main deity that they would worship in that manner was Asherah. Ishtar, Asherah, same God, right? So let me pull something up really quickly, right? This is right here. Right, we got the word Quadashah, right? Check this out. Right, fertility cults of Canaan, right? So it says, only recently have scholars begun to unveil the complex religious rituals of Israel's Canaanite neighbors. Much of our knowledge of the origins and characters of their fertility cults remain tentative and widely debated. What we do know reveals dark, seductive practices that continue to entice the people of God had chosen to be his witnesses. The origins of Judaism, right? The Israelites, right? It says the people of Israel developed their faith in the wilderness. Abraham lived in the Negev desert where God made his covenant of blood with him and sealed it with circumcision. Moses met God in the burning bush, blah, 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 right? So jump down right here, right? So they have the worship of Canaan's gods, Baal, right? The earliest deity recognized by the people of the ancient Near East as the creator god El, his mistress, the fertility goddess Asherah, right? Gave birth to many gods, including the powerful god named Baal, right? So now let's look at Asherah. Asherah was honored as the fertility goddess in various forms and with varying names. The Bible does not actually describe the goddess, but archaeologists have discovered figurines believed to be representations of her. She is portrayed as a nude female, sometimes pregnant, with exaggerated breasts that she holds out. She also has like really thick thighs and she's just curvy, right? That's how she's depicted, so-called depicted. She's portrayed as a nude female, sometimes pregnant, with exaggerated breasts she holds out, apparently as a symbol of the fertility she promises her followers. The Bible indicates that she was worshipped near trees on poles called Asherah poles, right? So these Asherah poles is where we get the modern day strip club, right? We get the modern day strip club, right? Right, so boom. Asherah was worshipped in various ways, including through ritual sex. Although she was believed to be Baal's mother, she was also his mistress. So freaky bowls. Pagans practiced sympathetic magic. That is, they believed that they would could influence the gods' actions by performing the behavior they wished the gods to demonstrate. Believing the sexual union of Baal and Asherah produced fertility. Their worshippers engaged in immoral sex to cause the gods to join together, ensuring good harvests. This practice became the basis for religious prostitution. 1 Kings 14:20-24. The priest or a male member of the community represented Baal. The priestess or a female members of the community represented Asherah. In this way, God's incredible gift of sexuality was perverted to the most obscene public prostitution. No wonder God's anger burned against his people and their leaders, right? This is what we were doing, right? So now let's go to the book of Hosea, right? Actually, let's go to Deuteronomy 23:17, and then we're going to go to Hosea chapter 4.
Deuteronomy 23:17.
Mm-hmm.
It's the book of Deuteronomy chapter 23 and verse 17. There shall be no whores of the daughters of Israel.
There shall be what?
There shall be no whores of the daughters of Israel
There shall be no whores of the daughters of Israel, right? Because what's this word for whore? Quadashah, right? Read on.
Nor a sodomite of the sons of Israel.
Nor a sodomite of the sons of Israel. Let's look at that word. Oh, Quadash, right? Quadash and Quadashah, right? So the whore would be the female version. That ha character at the end of a noun indicates that it's a female noun, feminine noun, right? With drop the ha, it's just Quadash, which is male, masculine, right? So a whore in this context, or a harlot, is a Quadashah, a temple prostitute, right? And that's how they worship their gods. Nor a sodomite, right? So a male temple prostitute. Okay. So there should be no whore of the daughter of Zion, right? Nor a sodomite of the sons of Israel. It says, thou shalt not bring the hire of a whore or the price of a dog into the house of Yahawah thy God for any vow, for even both these are abominations unto the Lord thy God. So if you out there going to be a whore, right, and you worshiping Asherah and Baal and all these other guys, and you want to come to Yahweh's temple and bring that money, right, into the temple, again, guess what? I'm sure there's a bunch of priests sleeping with these women, right, giving them money, right, doing all types of wickedness, right? Niggas was bringing money into the temple, profaning the Lord's temple, abominations. That's why the Lord destroyed the temple, right? Because of all the wickedness and evil that we were doing, right? Let's look at, for instance, the situation. What's her name? Cosby, right? Cosby. She was like the Midianitish woman, right? That what's the face? What's his name? Phineas slayed him, and that he slayed her, and that what's the face? I forgot the brother's name, right? So he did that, right? Because the Most High God sent a plague, because they were doing that where? In the tabernacle. He took a prostitute into the tabernacle and was popping the prostitute, a Midianite prostitute, right? In the house of God. And Phineas, the priest of God, a righteous priest of God, got him up on out of here, right? Like, this is what was going on, right, in Israel, right? So now that we looked at that, right, let's go to the book of Hosea chapter 1, and then we're going to go to 4 and 14, right? Just so you guys can get the context of who, right, during what reigns Hosea prophesied. Now, Hosea was told to marry a whore, a prostitute, right? As a sign of how the Most High God, he's married to prostitutes. He's married to the nation of Israel, and the nation of Israel keep committing fornication, right, by worshiping these other gods. Like literally in the worship of these other gods, we would commit actual whoredom.
Yeah.
Actual fornication, right? Bring that out.
Come on, this is the book of Hosea, chapter 1 and verse 1. The word of the Lord that came unto Hosea, the son of Beri, in the days of Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah, kings of Judah, in the days of Jeroboam, the son of Joash, king of Israel.
So Jeroboam was wicked, right? Listen, there was not a single righteous king of the northern kingdom. Not a single one, right? When we look at this list, right, Uzziah was relatively righteous. Jotham was relatively righteous. Ahaz was wicked as all hell. Hezekiah was righteous, right? Hezekiah's son Manasseh was probably one of the most wicked kings after Ahaz, right? He took what Ahaz did and just doubled it. I think Ahaz reigned for like 16 years. Manasseh, the son of Hezekiah, Hosea was not alive during his reign. Manasseh reigned for 52 years, doing all types of wickedness, just blowing smoke in the Most High God's nose, right? Just pissing the Most High God off, okay? So this is the context of the time period in which Hosea prophesied. Now let's go to chapter 4. And what's that? 14?
Where he tells him to marry the...
No, just go to 4 and 14 real quick. Let me go back to that one.
God, this is the book of Hosea, chapter 4 and verse 14. I will not punish your daughters when they commit whoredom, nor your spouses when they commit adultery, for themselves are separated with whores, and they sacrifice with harlots.
For they what?
For they themselves are separated with whores, and they sacrifice with harlots.
They sacrifice with harlots. What's this word for harlots? Oh, Quadashah again, right? This is what we were doing. We were sacrificing with harlots, right? I remember I had said something, right? I had did those anonymous questions on Instagram, and niggas killed me because I said, right, this is when we were part of Sakari, right? Niggas killed me because I said that dealing with prostitutes is also idolatry. But niggas try to kill me for that. The origin of this shit is literally the worship of other gods. The same way that a stripper in the strip club, right, dancing around a pole is the same thing. Yeah. She's a harlot. She's a whore. It's the same shit. You go into the strip club, right? You're engaging in idolatry, right? You dealing with prostitutes. You're dealing with you're dealing with actual fornication and idolatry. 2 sins unto death. Mm-hmm. Let's keep going.
Come. Therefore, the people that doth not understand shall fall. Verse 15. Though thou, Israel, play the harlot, yet let not Judah offend, and come not near unto Gilgal, neither go ye up to Bethaven, nor swear the Lord liveth.
So that's on that, right? So again, this is what we were doing. The Most High God said he's not going to punish our spouses and our daughters when they commit whoredom, when they commit adultery, right? Because we ourselves, we're committing adultery by being separated with whores and with harlots and sacrificing with them, which we were told not to do in Leviticus 18, right? Don't follow the ways of the Canaanites, and specifically not to do in Leviticus chapter 19, verse 26 on down, and specifically right here in verse 29, right? From verse 26 to 29, these are all Canaanite practices, right? These are all Canaanite practices, right? So now, right? Let's go to verse 27, right? It says, "Ye shall not round the corners of your heads, neither shalt thou mar the corners of thy beards." Right? Again, this is a Canaanite practice. Now, so is rounding the corners of your head, is that talking about getting a shape up? The answer is no. It has absolutely nothing to do with getting a shape up, right? So let's take a look at the Hebrew, right? It says laYAHAWah, right? The quapwa, right? So let's take a look at this, right? So round. Let's look at the word. Actually, let's go back. Let's pull up this word. Watch this, family. So it's translated as compass. Go round about. Go about. Compass about. It's translated as destroy once, down once, enclose, right? If you go around about something, you're enclosing it, right? Round, right? It's translated as kill once, right? Because again, in the context of this, right, it's found in one place where it's used as kill, right? Isaiah 29:1, woe to Ariel, right? This is Ariel, right? The city where David dwelt. So this is a name that's used for Jerusalem, right? Let me tell you something. One time, right, I was listening to HIV audio, and this is on the Shabbat too, right? And I just turned it on, right? And Isaiah 28 was playing, right? And it went right into 29. And that John said, woe to Ariel, the city where the Y dwelt. And I was like, oh, snap. I was freaking out. I was like, oh, Lord Christ, I had to turn this joint off. Right? But again, it's talking about Israel as a whole, right? Talking about Jerusalem. This is an epithet for us, right? It says, in ye year to year, let them kill sacrifices, right? So in that context, right, compassing with sacrifices, again, it's talking about killing sacrifices, right? But let's take a look back at how the word is used in general, right? The first place we see it used is here in Leviticus chapter 19, verse 27. You should not round the corners of your head. It's translated as round for a reason, right? Now, when you look at the outline of biblical usage, it says to strike off. So they say, strike. Now it says also to strike off skin, So they're like, oh, when you get a shape up, you're striking off skin. Okay, cool. So now, right, let's go to the Strong's definition, right? It says primitive root, to strike with more or less violence, beat, fell, corrode, by implication of attack, to knock together, i.e. surround, to circulate, compass, cut down, destroy, go roundabout, enclose, right? So when armies go around a city, they surround the city, they're getting ready to destroy it, right? So, but however, the word does not mean to strike off. Now, we look at the Brown's Drivers Briggs lexicon, right? It says strike off from late Hebrew. So this word means to strike off in late Hebrew or Aramaic. Last time I checked the Torah, the Hebrew that was used then was not late Hebrew, right? Now check this out, right? It says and then it has an Arabic word. It says "Foregets kaput ut cerebellum apparet," right? This is the vulgar. This is Latin. So let's take a look at this. Latin phrase "ut cerebellum apparet" can be translated as so that the brain might appear. So that the brain might appear. Now, I actually came across a particular article, right? Archaeologists found no, brother. We're going to dive into what it really means in a bit, right? So I found an article where archaeologists found two Canaanite brothers, I believe, in the city, I think it was Tyre. I forget what city it was, right? And they had deformities, right? And there were signs that they had primitive brain surgery. They literally cut into their skulls, right? They cut into their skulls. But that's not what it's talking about specifically, right? This is from, this is from the vulgar, right? Which is Latin, okay? So now, right, let's look at how else it's used, okay? It says for Assyrian, nakpul, probably to mutilate it. So them rounding their heads is them mutilating themselves. Them mutilating themselves. Guys, is getting a shape up mutilation? No, it's not. Right? Getting a shape up is not mutilation. Right? Let's keep reading. It says perfect third person masculine. Actually, now right here, verse 2, second entry, right? In the quat verb, to go around. To go around. To go around. Okay, that's what it means. To go around, surround, encompass, right? Go around. That's what it means. Okay, the word means to go around. Now let's look at how the word is used, how it's translated, right? In Joshua 6, right? It says, "Ye shall compass the city, all ye men of war, and go round about the city." Encircle the city, go round about it, right? Joshua 6:11, right? So the ark of the Lord compassed the city, going about it once. They went around it, right? It means to round, right? Right, compassing the sea, going around the sea, right? Check this out, right? 2 Kings 11:8. And ye shall compass the king round about, every man with his weapons in his hand, and he that cometh within the ranges, let him be slain, and be ye with the king as he goeth out, and as he cometh in. So you mean to tell me that the priests, right? This is the priest right here, right? They were giving the king shape ups. Is that what that means, family? This word naquap, does it mean to give a shape up? No. Getting a shape up is getting a line up. This is not what Leviticus 19 and 27 is talking about, right? So now, with that said, right, let's dive into it, right? Let's dive into what this is talking about, okay? So I'm going to show you something, right? So again, this right here is an enthroned Canaanite deity, right, from circa 14th to 13th century BCE. Look at the shape of the head of one of their deities. Look at the head shape. Pay attention to the head shape. Here's another one. Look at the shape of the head. Look how it looks like a cone. It looks deformed. Looks mutilated, does it not? Canaanite smiting god figure, circa 15 BCE. Canaanite smiting weather god or warrior with a horn headgear. Right. Look at the shape of the head. This conical shaped head. Right. This is from the Metropolitan Museum. Here's an enthroned Canaanite deity from around the 14th to 13th century. Again, look at the shape of the head. Figure of a seated Canaanite goddess, right, circa 14th to 13th century BCE. Again, look at the shape of the head. Pay attention, son of Simeon. I'm going to show you exactly what these people be doing. Again, another deity, another Canaanite deity. Look at the head shape. Guys, do human beings' heads normally look like this? No, right? So how? But these are their so-called gods, right? We're going to keep going, right? Another figurine, right? Here's a Hittite priest or king or deity, right? Look at the shape. Again, we were told to not follow the ways of the Hittites. The Hittites are Canaanites, right? The Hittites, some of the Hittites live in the Levant, but most of the Hittite kingdom is in Anatolia, which is modern-day Turkey, right? And this is from northern Syria. Syria and Turkey border each other. That was their land, right? Now, when you take a look at this, right? This is the deity of El, right? When you look at El, right, he actually has a goatee. So Leviticus 19:27 says, "Thou shalt not mar the corners of that beard." That word "corner" should not be translated as corner; it should mean side. So getting a goatee is unlawful, right? Shaving off the sides of your beard is unlawful, right? And the word that's used for mar is different from the word that's used for round, right? The word for, we'll pull that up in a second. Actually, let me pull this up real quick. Move, right? So let's just take a look real quick at the word for corner, right? So this word for corner, it means side, right? It should have been translated as side in this particular context, right? Side 64 times. Out of the 86 times in which this word is translated, it's translated as side 64 times. So you cannot mar the sides of your beard. Don't get a goatee, right? When we take a look at El, one of their so-called deities, right? It may be hard for you guys to see. Can I zoom into this bad boy? I can't. Right, actually, let me take a look at something. I'm gonna pull up the actual. Give me a second. Let's go my downloads. Watch this, family. Watch this. Just to show y'all. So y'all can see their deity El. Again, look at the shape of the head, right? Looks like a goatee. So shaving off the sides of your beard is unlawful. Do not do that. Do not do that. Okay. So let's remove this. Let's add this back, right? So let's keep going. Ruben, why you jumping the gun, Op? We're gonna get there. We're gonna get there. So let's brother over here jumping the gun, man. Right? check this out. So again, this is another ancient Near East Canaanite Middle Bronze Age deity. Again, look at the shapes of their heads, guys. If you just look up Canaanite figurine, right? If you just look up on Google, you can literally buy. Listen, when I just typed in Canaanite deity or Canaanite figurine, you can buy these things on Etsy and eBay. Like, why the hell? Who's buying Canaanite idols? Probably a bunch of heathens and a bunch of silly niggas, right? And we actually went to the Doomday Festival here in Philadelphia, very Afrocentric. And of course, our people were there, and we were just doing a flyer mission, right? Listen, Sleepy Jew, Conehead motherfuckers, right? Right? And guys, I got some hands-on eyewitness, like pictures that I took of things that people in West Africa, right, how they depict themselves. Family, it's again, Leviticus 19:27 has nothing to do with Shapeups.
No.
So these are their deities. This is who they're trying to emulate. This is who they're trying to be like, right? We try to be like the Most High God, right, and following His ways. They want to be like their gods, right? They call El their Most High God, right? So Canaanite, let's look at some Canaanites today. Now, before we go to that, right? Let's go to thorns. Where's that scripture that says that there will be thorns in our sides?
I was just thinking about that too. Let me find that.
Numbers 33 and 55.
God, let's look at Numbers chapter 33 and verse 55. But if you will not drive out the inhabitants of the land before you, then it shall come to pass that those which ye let remain of them shall be pricks in your eyes and thorns in your
thorns in your sides. Read on. And
shall vex you in the land wherein ye dwell.
Right. We even see this in Joshua chapter 23 and verse 13, as well as Judges 2 and 3. Right. The Canaanites were thorns in our side. So when we went into West Africa, we started migrating out of the Levant as we're all getting pushed out by the Romans and whatnot. And then after the Romans, then you got the different Muslim caliphates and whatnot who take over the land. Right. Yahawashi said that Jerusalem will be trodden down of the Gentiles until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled. We were all pushed out of that land. Right. So where there's Israelites in West Africa, there's Canaanites in West Africa. Right. In Nigeria, you had the Igbo and you had the Yoruba. Right. You also have a group of people called the Edo, the Edo people. You have the Hausa. These are Canaanites. They're not our people, right? You go to the Congo, you have Israelites in the Congo. You also have Canaanites, right? You know how niggas talking about, oh, you got that E1B1A? Oh, the Bantu people. Oh, we're Bantu. Bantu is a language group. And the last a language family. And the last time I checked, the Canaanite language and the Israelite language
are the same language.
Are the same language, same family of languages. Right? They're called Northwestern Semitic languages. Right? So was the Moabite language. So was the Ammonite language. Right? Even the Edomite language. Right?
Yeah.
All Northwestern Semitic languages. So Bantu is not a denoter of ethnicity, of tribe. It's a language group, right? So the Congo, right? The Congo is very important, right? You have a lot of Jews. The Congo is known as the land of the black Jews, right? But guess what? Where the Jews and the Israelites are, those thorns in their sides are going to be right there with them, the Canaanites. So let's take a look, right? Check this out, family. Yep. These are the Mangbetu people of the Congo. Now, you may be asking, how the hell they get their heads like that? As you can see, right, over here, the image on the left and the image in the middle, these are not, right? You can tell it's not just a hairdo, because look at the one on the right. Look at that head shape. Does that not look like this, or this, or this, or this, or this, or this? They're trying to be like their gods.
Mm-hmm.
The Mangbetu people of the Congo. Okay. Look at this lady's head, right? And she's braiding this other lady's head with this crazy dome piece. Now, look at the babies. How they get their heads like that is that they round the heads of the babies. Now, when you get a baby, when you have an infant, the infant's cranium, their skull is malleable.
Yes, soft.
You can shape their head. What they do, right, is they bind their heads with these reeds, these reed-like things, all right, and that's how they force the baby's head to get that shape.
Yeah.
Pay attention to this hairstyle, right, and this little hat thingy, right? Pay attention to that. I'm sure you something, right? Again, here we have a man, all right, a young boy, same head shape. An old lady, same head shape. Here's their what's the face? Their pottery, right? Their pottery, family. This is what they were doing, right? And guess what? They're not the only people that do this. People all around the world do this thing called artificial cranial modification.
Yeah.
Right, artificial cranial modification. Right, I'm gonna show y'all more. Oh, just y'all wait. There's an attack of the coneheads. When God says don't round the corners of your head, the sides of your head, this is what this is talking about. This is not talking about, right, 360 Jeezy or the brother Get Beamed giving you a crispy edge up.
Yeah.
Now, what you can't do is get no damn chin strap, right? You can't get no chin strap, right? You can't get no damn goatee, right? I mean, you can clean up your beard hairs, right? But you can't you cannot mutilate it. You cannot destroy it, right? We're gonna dive into that word for Mar in a second. All right, check this out. Boom. So let me pull this up. Right, let's go back. Right, so the word for corners, it means side. Right, so the sides of your beard. Okay. So don't round the sides of your head. Right, they're rounding the sides of their heads to make it like a cone. Right. It says north, south, you mar. Right, the word here is shakath. Right, shakath. Right. The sides of your beards, right? So the word pa'ath is used twice. Pa'ath of your beard is a quan, right? Your beard is a quan ka, your beard, right? You cannot shave off that beard and get that goatee, right? You're gonna be looking like L, how they depict L, right? So now, shakath, right? It means to destroy, corrupt, to spoil, batter, corruptly, right? The earth was also corrupt before God, right? And I will destroy them with the earth, right? So you're destroying. Don't destroy the side of your beard. Don't cut it all off, right? Now, let's take a. So that's what that word means, right? So don't get a goatee. Do not shave your beard off. Do not do that. Leviticus 19 and 27 can be used to demonstrate that a brother has to have a beard. Now, I saw a post where a brother used Leviticus chapter 21 and verse 5 and said, see, this is a proof text that you have to have a beard. They shall not make baldness upon their head, neither shall they shave off the corner, right? What's this word for corner? Pa'ah, right? The corners, pa'ath, which would be the plural of their beard, nor make any cuttings in their flesh. The context of this is talking about the priest, regulations concerning the priest. So to use this
for the whole nation,
is a gross disservice. You're taking this out of context, right? The context of Leviticus 21 right here is about the priests, the sons of Aaron, right? Regular priests are not allowed to go to funerals. They're not allowed to defile themselves for the dead among his people, right? It says, but for his kin that is near unto him, right? His mother, his father, his son, his daughter, his brother, right? And his sister that is a virgin, that's nigh unto him, right? Who have not had a husband. Those are the only funerals that a priest can go to, right? It says, they shall not make bald, they shall not defile himself, being a chief man among his people, to profane himself. They shall not make baldness upon their head, neither shall they shave off the corner of their beard, nor make any cuttings in their flesh, right? Because cutting in your flesh was what? Was something that they do in mourning for the dead, right? Now, also part of the of mourning, we put on sackcloth and ashes, and people will also shave their heads, right? But the priests are not allowed to do that, right? And when you keep going on, it goes down to even what the high priest cannot do. So Israelites have to do a better job at using the scriptures in their proper context and stop taking them out of context. Leviticus 19 in verse 27 has absolutely nothing to do with the shape up. Now, again, you cannot cut off the sides of your beard. So we look at the situation where David's servants went down to what was it, the king of Moab, right? After his father died, and his partners in them said, "Oh, you think David's coming after here to mourn? Oh, they're sending spies out here to, you know what I mean, because David put belt to ass, right?" And what they do, they ripped their clothes and shaved off half their beards and sent them on their way. Why? Because that's a shame.
Yeah.
And David said, "Yo, y'all, listen, fall back, stay in the crib, don't come out until your beards grow back." Right?
Yeah.
So no, you cannot shave off your beard, but rounding your head has absolutely nothing to do with getting a shape up, right? This is what it means to round your head, right? Now, this is again the same the Mangbetsu people, right? They use this same imagery for Prince Ramonda, right, from the Black Panther. This is what they did.
Close to the skin.
You can trim your beard. You can trim your beard. I would not get close to the skin, because if you nick yourself, now boom, you're in violation. So I wouldn't suggest doing that.
Because now at that point you're treading very closely to that line. So
you see that? So you see it says, wow, that's amazing. Brothers were saying my son's haircut was unlawful, but he goes to Ephraim for his haircuts. I was going to translate a lot. Like, listen, a lot of things that Hebrew Israelites teach is wrong, right? There are Hebrew Israelites that teach that you don't have to wear fringes. They're wrong. There are Hebrew Israelites that tell you that you can wear either or. They're wrong. There are Israelites that teach that you only have to wear fringes on garments, as if every piece of clothing is not a garment of clothing. There are Hebrew Israelite camps and groups that teach that you only have to wear fringes on feast days. Those niggas are wrong. They're dead wrong. They're sinning, and they're actually teaching you to sin. And Yahawashi said, the blind lead the blind, they're both going to fall in the ditch. Like, so you gotta pay attention.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, women can only wear dresses. The law don't say that. I would not do no 5 o'clock shadow, right?
No.
Keep your beard, right? Wear your beard. Do lions, again, I get the talking point, right? Do lions shave their manes? No. You shave a lion's mane, he looks going to look just like a lioness. I don't trust a nigga who ain't got no facial hair, who's clean shaven. I don't trust a nigga, right? I also don't trust a nigga with a goatee. Don't trust a nigga with a goatee. Don't trust a nigga with a chin strap. I don't. And neither should you, right? Let's keep going.
It's not hard for you to grow your beard out, man. It's not.
It's not hard. It's not grievous. Right? Now, boom. These are pictures that I took myself at the Adunde festival. And all these African people. and the sisters at I'm not sure if they're sisters or not, right? No clue, but they're from the Cameroon, right? And we have our people in the Cameroon, right? And I said, yo, cause I peeped these. I was like, yo, priest, yo, peep these.
Yeah.
Because we've been cooking this up for a minute. And I was talking to the lady, and I was asking, I said, hey, like, I've noticed this motif in a lot of West African art, like this cone-shaped head. Can you explain to me, why that is? Right? She says, oh, because like the king, it's symbolic of the king, because the king's his brain is massive, is large, right? I was like, okay, and I was like, I said, where are these particular statuettes from? She said, oh, these are all from the Congo. I said, oh, I said, oh, really? I said, do you mind? I said, oh, do you mind if I take a picture? And I was asking them, I said, so tell me about you guys in the Cameroon, like about you guys' practices and whatnot, your particular tribe. And they said, like we just follow tradition. We don't have religion. We follow tradition, right? And I said, do you guys do like sacrifices and like offerings like that, your ancestors and things of that nature? Oh yeah, we do that a lot. Wow. So, and that's something that the Israelites also followed and did. And we got that from who? From the Canaanites, right? The scripture said that the righteous is more excellent than his neighbor, but the way of the wicked seduceth them. Yeah. This is why the Lord told us to destroy all the Canaanites when we enter into the land of Canaan, because they would turn our hearts from following him, right? But again, look at all these figurines. Is this not the same? Yeah. This is not the same as the head shapes of these idols here. Guys, this is first person shooter. So Yeshaya, right? We are in the meat and potatoes of everything, right? So in Shalawam King, Leviticus 19 and 27 is not about getting a shape up. Yeah. It's not about getting a shape up, right? 360 GZ, right? Having this, crispy lineup, right? Even I was talking to a brother today. He said, oh, when they use a straight razor, it's off. No, it's not. Per Leviticus 19:27, like when you get the shape up and then they use a straight razor. Now, I wouldn't personally get it because you can cut yourself. Yeah. I wouldn't do it, right? But like getting that shape up with the trimmer, this is not unlawful. You can trim your hair, right? You can get a shape up. Leviticus 19:27 has absolutely nothing to do, right, with a shape up, right? Now, when brothers like 360 GZ, he doesn't have facial hair much. Now he has like little scruffy, little scragglies. Him shaving it completely off, that is off. Yeah, that is off. Him shaving up the sides, and and just having because like this is all he has, right? This is all he has on the mustache. This is all he has on the little chin strap, right? This brother has a more full beard, right? Looks like he, started shaping into it. I would be careful in doing that, right? When you're trimming your beard, right? You got to be very, very careful, right? When you're trimming your beard, right? But getting this lineup right here with the seed cup, that's not unlawful. Leviticus 19:27 is not talking about that. Rounding your head, right? The word in the Hebrew is naquap, right? It's only used in the sense of strike off in late Hebrew and late Aramaic. And Leviticus, the Hebrew of Leviticus is not a late Hebrew or late Aramaic. It's early Hebrew. Yeah. Right? And it means to go around. You look at how that word is used all throughout the text. Right? Check this out. Let's go back to it. Right? Go back to the word for round. Right? Let's go to the word for round. In the quap, how it's used. Round the corners, right? Round that word for corner should be sides. Okay. Go round about the city, going round about it once, right? Compassing it. You compass it, you go around it, right? Again, 2 Kings chapter 11, right? And you read from verse 4, right? In the 7th year of Jehoiada, sent and fetched the rulers over hundreds with captains and with guards, and brought them to him in the house of Yahawah. and made a covenant with them, and took an oath of them in the house of Yahawah, and showed them the king's son. Right? If I'm not mistaken, this has to do with what's the face? Josiah, if I'm not mistaken. It says, and he commanded them, saying, this is the thing that ye shall do. A third part of you shall enter on the Sabbath, shall even be keepers of the watch of the king's house, be a watcher of the king's house. And the third shall be at the gate of Sur, and the third part at the gate behind the guard. So ye shall keep the watch of the house, that it be not broken down. And 2 parts of all of you that go forth on the Sabbath, even they shall keep the watch of the house of Yahawah about the king. It says, and ye shall compass, right? This is the word for compass, right? Naquap, right? The same word that's used in Leviticus 19:27. You shall compass the king round about, every man with his weapons in his hands. And he that cometh within the ranges, let him be slain, and be ye with the king as he goeth out and as he cometh in. So were these priests giving the king a shape up?
Multiple priests giving the king a shape up.
All these priests are giving the king a shape up. That's when niggas tell you that Leviticus 19:27 has to do with getting a shape up. That must mean that the king was getting the shape up by all these Levites. You needed all these Levites to shape the king up. So the brother Yashar said, what he is saying is you run the risk of cutting yourself with the razor. Yeah, I wouldn't. But even when we look at it here, razor, let's look at the word razor. Let's look at the word razor in the text. So when we look here for the Nazarite vow, right? When your vow is over, you have to bring a razor to your head. Right? Well, it's something I want to show you. Ezekiel 5:1. It says, this is the Most High God speaking to Ezekiel. And thou, son of man, take thee a sharp knife, right? And take thee a barber's razor, and cause it to pass upon thine head and upon thy beard. Then take the balances to weigh and divide the hair. The Lord told Ezekiel to cut off his beard and cut off his hair on his head. He did. He told him specifically to do that. I'm not telling the Israelites, yeah, go shave off your beard, right? But having a razor can go to your head at certain times. Like when we were mourn, we would shave our heads.
Yeah.
Right? But the priests are not allowed to do that. The priests specifically are not allowed to do that. But Leviticus chapter 19, verse 27, which has nothing to do with either of those situations, right, is not talking about, right, getting a shape up. Now, I want to show y'all something. Where are we at? Boom, boom, boom. Right, check this out. I found so many different little sources here. Here we go. Watch this. I gotta be careful because they got these little dirty Hamites, right? So boom. Here's the Hamites with the cone-shaped rounded heads, right? So there's a tribe deep in the center of Africa that was once famous for its hairstyles and defined nature. They practice lepombo, right? That's what they call lepombo, the art of head elongation that denoted majesty and status, the mangbetu, right? Now let me see real quick because one of these pictures has some nudity, right? Cannot show that. Not getting my channel clipped, right? Yo, look at this bitch head. Like they think that looks cute. They think that's beautiful. This is what rounding your head looks like.
Yeah.
Just ask are dreads lawful? We've been examining that.
Yeah.
I haven't found anything specifically that says that they're unlawful. However, there is some evidence that it has some pagan origin. So we're still fleshing that out. But I don't want to go and say, yeah, go get dreadlocks, and I also don't want to go on a limb and say, yeah, they're unlawful. So the jury's still out on that right now in the House of Bread, right? Let me just make sure that I'm not getting any National Geographic yiddies on the joint. Right, so it says an amalgam of linguistically and culturally related peoples of Northeastern Democratic Republic of Congo. The Mangbetu refers to a large people group of Northeastern Democratic Republic of Congo. Right, yep, here's the yiddies. Make sure the yiddies are not shown. It says at the beginning of the 19th century, the Mangbetu were only one of many small groups of people that settled in the northern edge of Zaire rainforest. Prior to this, they lived in Sudan. And some say they're originally of Egyptian descent, right? I don't think they're of Egyptian descent. I believe that they're Canaanites. Yeah. And even they are Egyptians, right? The Canaanites and the Egyptians are brothers, right? And the Egyptians did the same thing, right? Look at King Akhenaten. King Akhenaten's daughter with Nefertiti, right? Had a big old dome piece. Yeah. Human heads do not form like that. It's artificial. It says Lipombo. Look what they do to this baby, right? It says Lipombo, the custom of skull elongation, which was a status symbol among the Mangbetu ruling classes at the beginning of the century, and was later emulated by neighboring groups, evolved into a common ideal of beauty among the peoples of northeastern Congo, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if some Israelites are following that, right? Mm-hmm. So, dang, look at this. Look at this. Is crazy. Look at this baby's head. Damn. It says at birth, the heads of babies were tightly wrapped with cloth in order to give their heads the streamlined look. The practice began dying out in the 1950s with the arrival of more Europeans and Westernization. Because of this distinctive look, it is easy to recognize the Mangbetu figures in African art. So again, I showed you guys, right? Here is these are pictures I took from the Congo. I'm not sure if these are Mangbetu or not, right? But look at this. This is Mangbetu art, right? This is how they depicted themselves, right? That's what they did. Actually, let me take this off because the yiddies are out again in this picture. So that's that on that. I'm gonna pull up another source real quick. Check this out. So we got that. Yeah, you just look up artificial cranial. If you look up artificial cranial modification, right, it's all throughout. It's all. When I tell you all, it's all throughout the world, right? Check this out. I found this picture. Where we at? Check this out. Check this out. So I found this link right here. And this right here is painting by Paul Kane showing the Chinook child in the process of having its head flattened in an adult after the process. So this is what Gad was doing this. They're flattening the head of this baby, right? Okay, y'all see this?
Yeah.
Hold on, it's hold on. Oh, I'm slapping the wrong drawing. All right, check this out, right? So, elongated skull of a young woman, probably by an Alon, right? This is some museum. This is from the early 6th century. Look at Gad. Look at what Gad was doing the same thing. Right? It says, painting by Paul Kane showing the Chinook child in the process of having its head flattened and an adult after that the process. Like, come on. Right? Here's another one. Just make sure there's no, this is a deliberate deformity of the skull. Two-layer deformity, brand visible in the photo, and is used to induce shape change, right? So it's this band, right, goes around the head, the sides of the head, to make it what? Elongated. To look like the Egyptian pharaohs who were worshipped as gods, to look like the Canaanite deities who had these head shapes and these figures. This is what's been going on, family. This goes on all over the world, right? Let me find this other joint. Watch this. Again, listen, if you just type in head binding in Africa, just look at all the images that's going to pop up, right? All the images that will pop up, right? Then see the picture of the baby, right? Look at this chick's stupid ass head. Let me make sure no yiddies. Make sure there's no yiddies on this John. Look at this. This is the daughter of Akhenaten. The Egyptians did it too. They're also Hamites. This is what these people do, and the Lord told us not to do what the Canaanites do, not to do what the Canaanites do, right? You can see it in all their art, right? Watch this. It's even in their art. Ridiculous. That's what this is talking about, guys. It's not talking about a shape up whatsoever. So, listen, y'all can, you know what I mean, go get yourselves, together, you know what I mean. There's so many more pictures of these people, these crazy ass head shapes.
Yeah, man. Crazy.
Bro, look at this joint, bro. Looks crazy. Looks crazy.
Yeah.
Right? Again, even the what's the face? Even the Mayans.
They got into that too.
The Mayans did it, right? And we know the Mayans were into all types of idolatry. These niggas, man. These niggas were the worst. Even you have the Vanuatu people of Australia, right? They do it as well, right? Let me see if I can find this John. Because this I'm not gonna show this one because this picture got the yiddies out. Can't show the yiddies. The people did it in France, like all over the world, right? So let's just actually just take a look here at artificial cranial deformation. Watch this. Right. So it's artificial cranial deformation or modification, head flattening or head binding is a form of body alteration in which the skull of a human being is deformed intentionally. It is done by distorting the normal growth of a child's skull by applying pressure. Flat shapes, elongated ones, produced by binding between two pieces of wood, rounded ones, binding in cloth, and conical ones are among those chosen or valued in various cultures, right? So it says intentional cranial deformation predates written history and was practiced commonly in a number of cultures that are widely separated geographically and chronologically and still occurs today in few areas, including Vanuatu, right? Again, if you look at Vanuatu head binding, you'll see them with it's a Japhite, you know what I mean, looking woman, yiddies out, and a baby with the same binding that we saw in the little Mangbetu baby, right? It says the earliest suggested examples were once thought to include Neanderthals and proto-Neolithic Homo sapiens. All right. It says even in Iraq, right, which is what? Babylon. The Shandor Cave in Babylon, right? It says the view that the Neanderthal skull was artificially deformed was common for a period. However, later research by whatever school all that, right? So it's in Eurasia, right? Look at this guy, right? I don't know where this place is at. Where is this dude? Oh, it's in Uzbekistan, right? Here you got these people doing it, right? This prince, he did it, right? Portrait of Alchin Hun, the king of, I don't know where the hell this is. Where is this place at? Was the founding king of the Alkhan dynasty. I don't know what that is. Oh, so this is in India, right? So you got Elon doing it, right? You got Elamites doing it, right? All bunch of heathen, right? So this is in Eurasia, right? Female skull found in Moles, Hungary, right? You got these people doing it, right? Here's the same guy in France. There's a guy in France who did it, right? So they were doing it in the Americas, right? In the Americas, the Maya, Inca, and certain tribes of North American natives performed the custom. In North America, the practice was known, especially among the Chinocan. I showed you a picture of a Chinocan. Let's take a look. Chinocan head binding. Right, boom. Look at Gad. Gad doing the same thing, guys. Gad being weird. Right? It says of the Northwest and the Choctaw of the Southeast. So you got even Reuben. You got Gad, Reuben, you got Zebulon doing it, you got Asher doing it.
Yeah.
Right? It says, contrary to common belief, there is no evidence that the Native American group known as the Flathead Indians engaged in this practice. Other tribes, including both southeastern tribes of the Choctaw and northwestern tribes like the Chehalis and the Nooksack Indians, practice head flattening by strapping the infants' heads to a cradle board. The practice of cranial deformation was also practiced by the Lucayan people of the Bahamas and the Tainos of the Caribbean. So Ephraim was doing it. Ephraim, and I personally believe that the Lucayan people are tribe of Dan. From some of the research I've done, I did years ago, right? When we was in Sakara, we had to do when you first came in, you had to do like a 12 tribes chart breakdown, like do all this type of research. And just looking at the Lucayan people, they I believe they might be from the tribe of Dan, right? So I'm gonna find Lucayan head binding. Let's see. Lucayan people head binding. See if we find any images. No, but this is what they would do to the baby's head.
The headboards.
Their head is compassed, right? Their head is compassed. This is crazy, right? So they did it right in the Tainos of the Caribbean. So, and then also you got all these people in Australasia doing it, right? In Africa, the Lembetu, right? Even some people in Japan, some people in China. So the heathen have been doing this,
yeah,
right? So, family, listen, it didn't specify which Taino. So you had Taino groups in Cuba and Taino groups in Puerto Rico. So you niggas was probably doing it too.
it's all right. Just own it, man. It's cool. Other tribes is doing it. I don't mean it's cool. It's okay, but listen.
Northern Kingdom, you niggas are the most idolatrous niggas ever. So let's be real. Okay?
Let's be real.
I'm messing with you, but I'm serious, right? So yeah, family, that is what rounding the sides or the corners of your head means. It does not mean getting a shape up.
Yeah.
Right. Let me see. Any questions? Anyone? Yep. Ruben, listen. There's a bunch of people in Thailand that they do the long neck thing. Also, they do that in Africa too. A couple tribes in Africa do neck elongation, of course.
And their lips too.
Yeah, there's a plate in the lip.
Yeah, the plates in the lips. Yeah.
You know what I mean, we're getting all types of weird stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then the Chinese Moabites, they be doing the feet binding, and that shit is ridiculous. Like, you should see they outlawed it because it's so crazy. Like, the heathen, they be doing some wild stuff.
Yeah. I truly don't understand how any of that head binding could show like societal status. I don't how does that factor into it? That's just heathens being heathens, man.
Listen, the heathens, they got, like, let's go back to the heathen, right? These people take these things and they worship them. You make your gods. You are the creator. How is El the creator God when you niggas created him?
Right.
You literally fashioned him out of wood or metal or stone, right? Laid him with gold and all, like. And as our beloved brother Elijah, LionOfYahawah, right, told the prophet, but maybe he's asleep, maybe he's on a journey, peradventure, he's chilling somewhere, right? Just keep calling them. But these are the heathen. Like, the heathen are stupid. This is why the heathen, when they see us keeping our laws, statutes, commandments, they're supposed to say, "Wow, this is a wise and understanding people." But hey,
yeah, that context of Leviticus 19:27 now, Lord willing, makes sense because Shapeups was not that
at all. And then, just so everyone, if you just coming in, right, go to the beginning, right, we go through this, we read from Leviticus 19:26 on down to 29, right? These are all Canaanite practices, right? Don't eat anything with blood, right? Verse Solomon 12 says that the Canaanites had feasts of blood, and they were cannibals, devourers of men's flesh, right? They were enchanters, they were observers of times, Inanium, right? They were smoking and doing all types of stuff, right? Look at Gad. Gad, smoking tobacco was all ritual, right? Smoking of any type of plant is you being a soothsayer, right? You should not round the corners of the heads, right? We just showed what that was. Don't mar the sides of your beard. This word for corners should be translated as sides, right? You don't round the sides of your head, right? You don't mar or destroy the sides of your beard, so don't get no goatee, no chin strap, right? Keep that beard, right? You can trim it. Don't be careful. Don't be wilding and doing stupid stuff, and getting bringing that John down. No, none of that. Don't make any cuttings in your flesh for the dead. We see the prophets of Baal, they were cutting themselves after their manner, trying to get Baal's attention. Right, bleeding all over the altar and stuff, right? Do not prostitute thy daughter to cause her to be a whore, right? This is how the Canaanites will worship Asherah, right? Also, they will worship Baal in that way, right? Because they were consorts, and getting them to do all this freaky stuff. They figured, they would allow us to be fruitful. This is the mindsets of the Canaanites. Of the heathen. The heathen are stupid. So that's what it's talking about, family.
Yeah.
Anyone got any questions? Let's see if there's any questions in the chat. Now we're gonna wrap it up.
Don't all speak at once.
Is being a surgeon unlawful? I wanted to be a surgeon when I was younger. Now I'm in pre-med. I wouldn't. Why would it be in a surgery?
Yeah. What situation would come up that would make it unlawful?
You're talking about the law that says, "Don't cutting into your flesh for the dead." That's cutting.
Yeah, that wouldn't have anything.
Like we cut ourselves all the time. You can cut yourself easily. But I'm saying, listen, if a warrior is training, you might get cut.
Yeah.
Is that unlawful? No. Right? Making cuttings in your flesh for the dead, for your ancestors and weird stuff like that. Right? Cutting yourself for goddamn Baal to get him to come down and burn a calf.
Yeah.
Bro, God, that's unlawful. Symbol of peace. Shut your stupid ass up. Please shut your stupid ass up. Right? It says you shall not make any cuttings in your flesh for the dead. Cuttings in the flesh for the dead. Nor print any marks upon you. So getting tattoos is unlawful, stupid. Getting a tattoo in general is unlawful. Lord in Christ, niggas are stupid. Stop! Don't come to my chat. Don't come to my channel, our channel, and try to teach anything. Get your own damn channel and teach what you want to teach over there. All right. So symbol of peace. Peace out. You're banned from the chat. Dumb nigga. What do you mean about Wolverine looking beard? I don't know what that means. Listen, don't shave off the sides of your beard.
Yeah, trimming your beard is cool. Just don't destroy the size of your beard. That's,
you know what I mean. Like when I'm like grooming or whatever, you know what I mean. Like I'll pick my beard out. Right, some hairs will be a little longer than others. You know what I mean. I'll trim it down.
yeah.
Little scissors, snip, trim it. You know what I mean. The mustache, I wouldn't. You know what I mean. Be careful. You wanna, you know what I mean, smile. You know what I mean? Because like what happens when you have hair, you have overhang.
Yeah.
Right? Knock off that overhang. Like I usually, you'll never see me. I'm not shaping up in here. There's a little soul patch. You know what I mean? I'll trim it down a little bit. I'm not cutting it off. Yeah. Here, I'm not touching right here. I'm not touching right here. You know what I mean? Your neck, you can clean up your neck. Right here, I'm not using a sharp ass trimmer. Right, and I'm not cutting. I'm not going past that natural line. Like I'm a little scraggly here. I'll clean it up where I'm not completely cutting it off. All right. Sam Jack. What are you talking about? Or who are you talking to? All right, Sam Jack. Let's get you up out of here. You're stupid, right? We just said, right, and just showed in the law that you cannot destroy the sides of your beard. You can't cut off the sides of your fucking beard and just have a goatee, right? You can't be getting no chin strap, right? You can trim, you can trim your hairs. You can trim your hairs, right? Don't destroy it. Don't cut it all off. Simple, stupid nigga. Why don't you learn Hebrew? Look into the Hebrew. I bet you some dumb GMS niggas. I can't wait for GMS to start running their mouth. I cannot wait. GMS. No one cares what you niggas think. You niggas get like 2 views of goddamn video, right? You niggas don't edify nobody, right? You niggas be behind 2 parked cars on a fucking mountain in goddamn middle of nowhere, right? And you sit and you think that's camp. You think that's bidding people to the marriage. You niggas are internet prophets, and you niggas understand the prophecy is horrible. So fuck GMS and all you niggas that's gonna run your mouth. Fuck all you niggas, right? I can say fuck you to a lot of other groups, right? ISUPK, fuck you niggas, right? Fuck a GMS, right? Fuck Sons of Thunder. Fuck you niggas. All you evil niggas, fuck y'all. Straight like that. Some brothers do have issues growing full beards. If you can't grow a full beard, again, still don't. You can't show. Even like guys, like my beard's not completely full. You know what I mean? I got some patches or whatever, but I'm not shaving this joint off.
Don't cut off what you have.
What you don't cut off the sides of your beards. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Right? Listen, when you watch that not that episode, you watch The Lion King. You watch that sequence with Hakuna Matata is playing, right? And Simba's going from a young cub, right? And he grows up as an adolescent, right? He got the little mohawk mane. And then he becomes a mature lion, right? And then he has a full mane, right? It takes time. Like when I first came into the truth, my beard was not as thick as it is right now. The problem is a lot of you niggas don't know how to groom yourself. Listen, Joe, I don't even know how you say that.
So for your hair to grow back itself.
I don't even know how to say your stupid name. Listen, right now, I'm not here to debate. When it be time to debate, right, and have smoke sessions, you niggas never show up, right? When I do a who wants smoke, right, you can bring your stupid ass on, and we can bring all the smoke, nigga, right? Shut your stupid ass up. Someone asked, is a colonoscopy unlawful? I don't know.
Yeah, I would say depending on how you go about getting that colonoscopy, that would be unlawful.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm not getting no colonoscopy.
Yeah,
I ain't getting my prostate checked, and I ain't getting no colonoscopy. My grandfather died of prostate cancer, and my dad beat it. I'm not doing it.
Is there no other way but a colonoscopy? Is that the only method?
All right, Joseph, go eat a dick. How about that, bitch ass nigga? Anyway, whoever this is the same person just being a goofy. Yeah, you're blocked. You're blocked as well. All you fuck niggas. I know you niggas are GMS niggas. I just know it. I can just feel it in my spidey senses are just tingling. Right? But any questions? Anyone with questions?
Like actual valid questions.
Actual sincere questions. Listen, Sister Chantel. I'm listen. Listen. I'm so thankful to the Most High God. I'm just so grateful for Yahawah, right? And I always got to give him thanks in the name of my King Yahawashi. I'm so thankful that he got me from up under the niggas that I was under, right? Because the niggas that I was under, right, just want to be so politically correct with these fuck niggas in Israel, right? All you evil niggas in Israel, fuck you. Fuck you niggas. Straight like that. All you niggas who are out here teaching people bullshit, teaching the people to break the laws of God, right, through your horrible understanding or lack thereof, right? All you niggas who are on your 5th, 6th wife, right, because you keep putting these sisters away for things outside of fornication. All you niggas who are getting pegs and do all types of weird shit. All you evil niggas, right? Like fuck you niggas. It's the same. Gotta be the same person. This person's just being a troll. LA Trey, go to the highest building near you and take the fast way down. How about that?
So there are alternatives to colonoscopies. Yeah, there are alternatives to that, like stool test.
Tap on the sister Chantel. She knows a master herbalist.
Yeah.
Right.
So there's stool tests. There's other things you can do besides a colonoscopy. Let's not jump the gun straight to that.
Yeah, let's
not go.
Let's not do that, right? You don't want to be like the chief queef. You got only now you put a finger in there a couple times. Like you don't want to go outside like that, nigga. All right, you don't want doctor putting fingers in places that his finger don't belong. All right, don't do that. All right, yeah, do brothers from different mothers. Yes.
Yeah, I would.
Yes. Even if you have different fathers, you're still brothers.
Yeah, right? You're still siblings.
You're still siblings.
Brother.
Stupid. Yo,
niggas got jokes today. Huh?
Yo, niggas got the jokes today. Oh, Lord in Christ. All right. But yeah, man, don't listen. Stay away from the colonoscopies. Minor surgical procedures of inserting the scope to. All right. So, any other questions? We've been here for going on 2.5 hours. Right, again, family, make sure you guys like and share the video, right? Make sure you like and share the video. Because again, people out here, niggas out here really out here teaching that this is a sin.
Yeah.
And doing so is actually a sin. Deuteronomy chapter 4 and verse 2 says you are not to add to nor diminish aught from the law. To say they're getting a shape up, right? Getting your hairline shaped up, right? Is a sin. You're in sin.
Yeah.
Right.
And also, just to add on to that, let this be a lesson to the whole community as a whole, not to just like run with what you hear. Don't let somebody tell you something is a sin and then you start doing it without you actually going into it. Because now you will be in sin for not confirming that. And that's what Deuteronomy 27 says. Cursed be the man that confirmeth not these words to do them. So you have to confirm them to do them. Don't just hear somebody says and go off of that.
And here's the thing, this is not because like niggas want to just say, oh, just do it. No. It's a matter of like, listen, we have to be true, right? And we have to be exact when we're dealing with the word of truth.
Yeah.
We have to rightly divide the word of truth. The word of truth is the law, right? So when Deacon and Hassad brought out how mixed fabrics is literally only talking about wool and linen, right? Yeah. And that's only given to everyone outside of the priests. The priests, they wear garments of wool and linen. It's a holy blend for them, right? Yeah. So wearing something that's cotton and polyester is not unlawful. Now, I don't like cotton and polyester blends because it'd be pilling up, and I don't like it. The quality is terrible. I'd rather 100% cotton, right? However, right, if you had a shirt that was, if you have jeans, most jeans got a little elastin in it. That's not unlawful. You know how many pairs of jeans I did not buy because the shit said 2% elastin? I'm like,
yeah.
Right? But again, rather be safe than sorry, right? In that situation. But as knowledge increases in the last, right, this is how we're able to rightly divide the word of truth, right? This is how I was able to, as I'm looking into Leviticus 19, I'm like, yo, this, like the context, like shape up, it just cannot, this has to be something that the Canaanites are doing. So I started looking, I said, I said, oh snap.
Got nothing to do with shape ups.
I said, oh, you got these people who are out here literally binding the little baby's head, rounding the baby's head, compassing, surrounding the baby's head, right, with tight reeds or whatever this is, right? And that's how they're getting these stupid ass heads. Right? This is how I was able to see all of this. But again, that's because through research, right? Through rightly dividing the word of truth, studying. Right? Like the brother Raquan says, study and ask questions.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Let me tell you something. Listen, there's so many niggas who get out here, all right, and believe a doctrine or believe something and can never explain it, right? Listen, Lord willing, this Friday, we will be doing a full breakdown of Leviticus 23rd chapter.
Yeah.
Right? All the feast days. Right? Because I'm going to keep it a buck. 95% of the nation,
Salvation wrong.
they do not know how to properly keep the feast days.
Yeah.
They don't keep the feast days in the right seasons. They just don't. Right? Everyone be celebrating first fruits. Wrong. Like how you got Passover late March, early April, and then late May, early June, you got Feast of First Fruits. You niggas have never planted shit in your life. And it shows, because you're not going to have fruit. The Feast of Harvest. I want to do a full breakdown of the feast days, right? Through the spirit and power of Yahawashi, shanyam-ishar, right? It'll be very, very impactful. So make sure you guys stay on the lookout, or make sure you subscribe to House of Bread Camp, right? Because we will be simulcasting from Yasharahla as well as House of Bread Camp page, right? We're also streaming on Twitch right now. Are you think the movie? I don't think it's a mockery toward. I don't know. I haven't seen Coneheads. Coneheads has been a long. I haven't seen Coneheads in years. Could be. I don't know. Can you do a class on Levi and Louisiana? There's used to be a divide between Angola and Franco-speaking brothers. I wonder if any of this correlates between the relationship between Judah and Levi. I haven't. We can look into it. There's a lot of Levites down in Louisiana because it was a French territory.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah. But yeah, all praise to the Most High Sister Masala. But yeah, make sure you guys support the Sister Masala, man. Support her GoFundMe. All right, let me just pull that out real quick. Support the Sister GoFundMe link should be in the description, right? If not, I'll add it to it. Here's a link in the chat. Make sure you guys go and support the sister. And her children. All praise to the Most High. Many of y'all know the situation, right? So, alms cover a multitude of sins. So, help the sister out. But yeah, let's see. Any other questions? Looks like we don't have any more questions. All praise to the Most High. All right, but with that, we want to give all praise, all glory, all honor to the Most High God, whose name is Yahawaah. Of course, we do so in the name of His only begotten Son, Yahawashi, who the world and only calls Jesus Christ. Until next time, Shalawam and Matawathya.
Unlawful ball.